Okay, so I want to show you the game. The game is one of those things that you will wish you knew sooner. It is massively useful for building drive. It is drive, steadiness, and proofing your release command for a mark retrieve. I use my dog's name on a mark retrieve because there may be 4 of us in the line, and if we all send out on back, dog's going to hear the word back and it's going to run him. So I'm basically setting my dog up to get it right. I also have a couple of dogs, so I'm going to want at some stage to have them both with me, and I'm going to choose the one I send. Your release word can be whatever you want, but to me, releasing them off their name makes sense. So you'll see how I use that within this exercise. The rules of the game, very, very simple, but they have to be right. You have to be strict with them. There's 3 steps to it. You obviously start with step 1. That's probably the most important one, is building drive, building value into the dummy. Some dogs are naturally very drivey, others less so, so it's useful for that. Step 2 is teaching the steadiness, and step 3 is proofing that release word and making sure your dog sits steady until you send it. So I will show you each step, and then I will kind of walk you through them as we're doing it. So to start with, step 1, I'm going to have my dog sat in front of me. That's important. Dog sat in front of me. I've got my dummy. I'm going to hold my dummy at a sensible height. It's not up in the air. It's not out to the side. It's here. It's in front of me. I'm looking at my dog. My dog's looking at my dummy. I'm going to say his name once to release him. I'm going to play with him. Then I'm going to throw the dummy to the side and say his name again. So making clear to him that this is for him. Quinn! Quinn! Sit. Oh boy. Dead. So you can see I'm just saying his name twice, once for releasing him, and he was immediately on it then, because that is me telling him this is for you. Playing with him, I'm playing with it down here. Cheeky, cheeky. I'm playing with it down here, not up here, where he can't get it. You know, there's no point in me doing this unless I'm going to want him jumping up at me, and if you've got quite a polite dog, they're not going to do that. So you want it down low, chasing it within reaching distance for them. And then you just toss it to the side, give your release word again. Doesn't have to be a million miles, up close and personal. Once this is consistent, dog is out, back, excited, enthusiastic. You might only do 2 or 3 of these a day to start with, just building that drive. Then we're going to bring in step 2. Step 2 is steadiness. I teach my dog stay. Some people just do it off sit. Whatever works for you is fine. I am going to hold my dog in this position. I'm going to throw the dummy out. I'm going to wangle it around. So you can see now I haven't released him. He's not going for it. That is what I want. So I'm going to throw it out to the side, and I might tell a younger dog, I would tell to stay. With him, he does no better. So I'm going to reward him. You know, I am rewarding my dog. I don't work for free. Why should he? And ultimately, I want him driven for this dummy. This is his payment, but I'm telling him to leave his payment, and I'm paying him in a different method. So with it, like I say, with a younger dog, a less experienced dog, I might reinforce. I might say stay. As I throw it out, reward them, pick it up. This is him learning that it's not always for him. And basically you want to get to the point where you throw it over the head. Okay? It's not for him. I haven't told him he can have it. So I'm going to pick that up. And this is making sure your foundations are really clear, that your stays are good, your sits are good, all of that. Your basics are there. Okay? So that's step 2, steadiness. Dummy gets thrown out, it's not for them, you pick it up. And making sure you can do all of this, all your dancing around, and it's not for them, okay? If I release him, Quinn, and then I dance, it's for him, Quinn. So that's step 1 and step 2. Sit. Dead. And now he doesn't want to give it me, because it's an exciting game. Dead. Good boy. And as much as his delivery is good, he is a bit of a clown, and he's now at the point where he's kind of not wanting to give me the dummy when I'm asking for it. I'm not going to persecute him for that, because ultimately I want him to want it. So, you know, you've got the dogs are not animals. Sorry, the dogs are animals, not machines. So I'm not expecting 100% perfection from them all the time. So then step 3 is proofing your release word and your steadiness. It's kind of a combination of step 1 and 2. I'm going to throw my dummy out, my dog's watching, and then I'm going to release him on his words. Quinn. Good boy. Sit. Good boy. Dead. Good boy. So I took a little pause between speaking and sending him because obviously I'm chatting away to the camera and then I'm talking to a dog as well, and I want him to be clear that I'm talking to him. With a dog of this age, he knows his release words. I'm not pushing him out off my hands, particularly for this, because I'm wanting to make sure he's running out on his name. With a younger dog, I might help them a little bit. The key is don't rush, take your time. You know, you've got to set the dog up to get it right. And if they're not getting it right, it'll be doing too much too soon. You might find with the younger dogs, once you've started to do step 2, they're a little bit apprehensive about running in when you're sending them on step 3, because they might have been put back to their spot when they've tried to run in earlier on if their stays weren't great. So you might then wind it back to step 1. Excuse me. Build a little bit of drive and start again. The key is just to read your dog. It's a really simple game. It is a really effective game if you play it right. You have to read your dog's body language. If you're putting a little bit of pressure on to keep the stays, you may then not get what you want out of step 3. So just flip between step 1 and 2. If you have a super keen dog, you might be doing more of step 2 than you are of any of the other ones. If you have a dog that is a little bit polite and not that drivey, you might be more focused on step 1. So, you know, you've got to apply it to the dog that you're training, and it works for all dogs. This is a dog that is not that driven, and you can see how excited he's got about the game. But, you know, he is an older dog and he does know his job. But it is the sort of thing I would introduce with him when he shuts down a little bit in harder exercises. So that's just the game. Strict rules. Dummy still. Say dog's name. Play with dog. Throw it to the side. Say dog's name. Dog brings it back. Step 2, throwing the dummy out. Dog has to stay. Step 3, throwing the dummy out. Sending the dog off the name. It is really simple, but it is important to get it right. So hopefully that is a helpful visual for you of how it works. Good boy. Good.